This video, it's called Why College Quarterbacks Fail in the NFL. And, it's an age old question, as long as people have been getting paid to play football professionally, there have been people that come out of college and they fail. And obviously, there are some guys that, just don't live up to the hype. And I mean, you come out of college, you're hyped up, you're supposed to be like the next MVP, and you're just aight. I mean, you just kind of lead your team for 10 years, you just do all right. I mean, not Hall of Fame or anything, but certainly not a bust. There are guys like that. Those aren't the guys that I'm talking about in this situation. The guys I'm talking about in this situation are guys that come out of college and just completely fail, like out of the league or, off the team that drafted them on a practice squad. Drastic, crazy stuff like that, okay? So, obviously, we're going to exclude injury. That does not count, okay? Quarterbacks get injured. Football is a dangerous sport. People get injured. We're not going to count that. So, in my opinion, at least, there are two principal reasons why quarterbacks fail in the NFL. The first reason, and probably the easiest one to, diagnose, is they just have a straight up awful team around them. Some recent examples of this are, Josh Rosen when he was on the Cardinals and when he was on the Dolphins. Sam Darnold right now. And it's just kind of sad to me, honestly. Because both of these guys, they both came into their respective situations as fairly good college quarterbacks. I think we can all agree on that. And then they got to the league, and the teams around them were just not ready for them at all. And they both ultimately had guys that they wanted over them. So this is, a fairly easy one to just diagnose. You just, build a competent team around whether young quarterback you draft, right? So, instead of, drafting a dude and, just completely ignoring that awful offensive line, you maybe, get an offensive line first before you start putting a quarterback in there. Because some of these quarterbacks have been set up in situations where there's just no way they can succeed. Right? Like, if you put Patrick Mahomes in that Jets offense, it would not look pretty at all, let me tell you. So some of these guys, that's the, answer. And that's the simplest way to fix it is just straight up, put them in a better situation. But then there are some people who come into the league in a all right situation. I mean, we're not going to say it's going to be great playoff contenders, but they should win a decent amount of games and look all right. And they just absolutely bomb. They do awful. They're no good. Now, what's up with that? Now, I feel like once again, there are two reasons why this could be the case: low work ethic, or they're just not skilled. So, in college football, I think we'll all agree that there are, three or four teams that are, powerhouses, right? You typically have Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and then Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Georgia, a team like that, right? Now, the issue here is that those top three teams, Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State, they just draw so much talent in, right? Okay? So you've got a 5-star quarterback, 5-star offensive line, a 5-star running back, 5-star wide receivers, right? And they're playing against defenses that, are often subpar. You're playing against a defense that has a 3-star cornerback covering a 5-star wide receiver. You're going to get mismatches basically for everyone, right? And the issue with that, more or less, is that it can lead to, people's weaknesses being covered up. Right? What I'm trying to say about this is, if you're not a great quarterback overall, sometimes you can just sneak through the system in college, right? Due to the fact that you're going to have such, dynamic wide receivers around you and a dynamic offensive line, especially if you play at one of those powerhouse programs, right? So let's say hypothetically, there's a quarterback and he goes to Alabama. And he was amazing in high school. He's just not that great at Alabama. He does all right at practices. But during the games, he does During the games, we'll just say that his wide receivers are always open, right? We'll say that. They just blow by the defense, they're always open. His running back always gets, 10 to 12 yards of rush. Right? The line gives him like 10 to 20 seconds or something crazy like that to pass the football. Okay? The fact of the matter is you can get your weaknesses very easily covered up. If you're not great at throwing an accurate deep ball, you can just chuck it down there when your wide receivers have 20 yards of separation, right? The issue is in college that people's weaknesses can get overlooked, especially at quarterback, A position that relies so much upon the other, positions such as line and wide receivers and tight ends and running backs, right? There's a reason, more people know quarterbacks than any other position. It's because they do the most for the team, but at the same time, they also rely upon the team the most. I mean, if you put Tom Brady in a situation where he has no offensive line, no weapons at wide receiver, he's not going to do well. You put any quarterback in that situation, they're not going to do well. Now, if you put a quarterback in the situation where, say, they're surrounded by weapons, they're surrounded by 5-star recruits, they're surrounded by 5-star offensive linemen, and they're playing against 3 and 2-star cornerbacks and safeties, then obviously, they're going to have, better throws. Well, not better throws. What I mean to say is they're going to look better because they can just throw it down the field and know that their guy will go out there and get it. So what I'm saying is they'll kind of get carried by their wide receiver core. They'll get carried by their offensive line. So the big moral of the story here is that sometimes, every now and then, when a college quarterback doesn't succeed in the NFL from a big program like Alabama or Ohio State, it's because their weaknesses are getting covered up. I mean, look at Dwayne Haskins, right? He's probably a prime example right there. I mean, it's just sometimes, every now and then. Which is why personally, at least, I'm not an NFL GM. I'm never going to try and claim to be an NFL GM, like I claim to be an NBA GM. But basically, what I'm trying to say here is the ideal college quarterback for me coming into the NFL is a guy who has played in a Power 5 conference. So Big 10, Big 12, Pac 12, SEC, ACC. A guy that has played in one of those 5 conferences. A guy that has played on a team that is somewhat competitive, right? I don't want a guy that's coming in from like a team that's going 1-7 or something like that because it shows that he can't win. So a guy that's coming from a team that's we'll say 5-4, something like that, right? A guy's coming from a team that's won some, maybe a bowl game or two, no, discipline, teammate issues. And then, lastly, I don't want him to go to a big school. And when I say big school, I mean Alabama, Ohio State, or Clemson. Because when he goes to those schools, his weaknesses get covered up. An ideal team is, let's say, Auburn, right? At Auburn, you're going to be playing with talented guys. Yes, that is for sure. But you're not going to be playing with straight 5-star recruits all around. Okay? The level of competition is going to be closer. Meaning that you're going to get used to throwing against, say, defenses that are able to better cover your wide receivers. You're going to get used to fitting it in that pocket. You're not going to get lazy and, just kind of chuck it there, which is what I think Dwayne Haskins' issue was. I think his issue was he just kind of got lazy in the NFL because he wasn't used to, having to make those tight contested throws. So that's why I think Auburn would be a good school for a quarterback, right? Another school I think would be a good school for a quarterback is, let's say, I don't even know, honestly. But just any school, any Power 5 school that's not super big in football. So basically not Alabama, Ohio State, or Clemson. Now, on the downside of that, of course, you risk the chance of, missing out on an amazing Alabama quarterback because he was playing at Alabama. And I mean, I can't blame him. It's a tricky situation. And the majority of the time, the quarterback is not the main issue. But every now and then he is. And when he is, I think you need to look at his college experiences truly see, what happened and why he turned out the way he did. So this is just a quick little opinion video from me. No big news or anything like that. Y'all remember to like the video and subscribe. I've been on the grind recently, so it'd be amazing if we could actually gain subscribers. That'd be pretty cool. Um, yeah, that is about it. Remember to like and subscribe. I said that already. Comment down below what college football team you go for, who your favorite quarterback is. Comment whatever you want, honestly. I really don't care. And yeah, I will see you around. Peace.